Welcome, everyone. Stacey Portugal here, weight loss coach for over 40 women who are ready to gain control of their cravings and age with confidence. Today, I'm so excited because I am joined by Dr. Shaun. And Shaun and I have been talking quite a bit just about inflammation, cellular health, and of course, sugar falls into this category. So that really brought out the nutrition nerd in me. Shaun is a physician. She has been a practicing physician for 26 years, married 28 with 2 teenage boys. And I know your husband is a physician also, a gastroenterologist.
That's right.
Well, welcome. So, Shaun, go ahead. I'll let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Stacey. Yes, I'm fortunate enough to be married to the president of the Mississippi Gastrointestinal Society. So I'm officially the first lady of GI in Mississippi. It's one of my great honors. But I'll start with my story. You know, I have always been about health and wellness. I ran marathons in high school. I trained at a Nautilus Fitness Center in high school. That's always been a passion of mine. I owned a health and wellness facility, fitness facility, and but trained in allopathic medicine, and never really knew anything about cellular health other than exercise and eat right, and try to cut out the junk food, which I hadn't up until about 5 or 6 years ago done a very good job of. And along with that, and kind of burning the candle, I always say at 12 ends, I was doing a little too much, a little too fast as far as my body's health and wellness was concerned. And so my sweet husband suggested that I see this age management doctor who also specializes in giving hormones to women. And he said he sends all his cancer patients to her because, when they're looking like they're about to not do well, he'll send them to her and she'll tune them up, and then they come back looking great. And so I, in a way I took it as a kind of a, little jab from my husband, but I was very appreciative because she measured a lot of things that I didn't even think to look at, magnesium levels, thyroid levels, all these things that, inflammation starts to take a toll on our bodies. And she put me on I would say a gazillion supplements. I was on like 30, well, actually it was 28 total pills a day, and they were all natural except for the thyroid pill and another hormone that I was taking. But I didn't like taking that many pills, and it didn't feel natural at all. And I was doing everything right, so I thought I was eating right. I had to cut out all the sugar. I had to cut all the gluten out, and that did help a lot. But I still didn't feel right after doing this for 6 months. And she told me about one thing. When I went back to see her, she said, there's one product that is clinically proven to reduce, and I'm going to use a term that many of you probably haven't heard of, but you will. She said it's clinically proven to reduce oxidative stress by 40% on average in everyone who takes it in 30 days. And she says, my husband and I both take it, and we invested in the company. And I was kind of like, wow, well, why didn't you tell me this 6 months ago? I'm dying here. And she said, well, we just found out about it. So I immediately went home and did research. As a physician, I go to PubMed, which is the National Institute of Health website.
PubMed, yeah.
National Library of Medicine, our tax dollars at work. And, because Google, anybody can say anything. You don't have to have, a prior certification to post anything on Google. So I went, and she's right. They had major peer-reviewed research published by medical schools, LSU, Ohio State, Harvard, Virginia Commonwealth. And I was pretty impressed. They had 9 studies at the time. So I knew I was going to take this product forever. And I was going to force feed it to my husband. As I said, I have a yellow lab, and he was old. He's older now, but he was stiff. And so I knew he had oxidative stress. And to back up, oxidative stress is basically cellular aging. It really is the result of free radical damage. And most of us have heard of free radicals. Free radicals are the byproduct of food and oxygen and our metabolism. And it's a waste product, just like the exhaust in a car or the smoke from a factory. And it's very damaging. It sets off a cascade of reactions that damage our tissues, our cells, our DNA, our fats, our proteins, and causes hundreds of diseases. So when she told me that oxidative stress could be reduced, I was actually quite impressed because I knew that taking antioxidants, or eating an apple is great for fighting free radicals, but it's a 1-to-1 ratio. And our bodies produce septillion free radicals a day. And there's like 27 zeros behind that. It's 300 septillion.
That's a big number. I can't even picture it.
You're not going to touch it with the 1-to-1 ratio. And, obviously nutrition is paramount. It's the foundation. But in the world that we live in, we're surrounded by, diesel fumes and methane, at the gas pump, and chlorine and fluoride in our water.
Oh.
If we're athletes, my sons both swim competitively, so they're breathing in chlorine fumes. And so it's a game changer. And, sugar in your diet will cause inflammation, and gluten in your diet will cause inflammation. But even if you eat pristinely, like the Dalai Lama, he has oxidative stress. And so basically our bodies are equipped to deal with that up until about age 20. And after age 20, it goes down big time. So I learned about this and really felt that, we just need a little more help. We really do.
Yeah.
I'll pause there and let you interject if you wanted to say anything, or I can keep going.
I mean, I think that's really interesting. I mean, as you know, the way I help people is I offer a signature program called Shake the Sugar and Beyond. And it doesn't really come from as much of a medical need or background that you've talked about, but I was just struggling with my weight. I was struggling with cravings. I just, it was like 20 or 25 pounds, but it was the biggest monkey on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't have the energy that I felt that I should have. And this happened to me for like and I had really bad digestion and just a couple of other kind of mysterious health issues that like a doctor couldn't really explain to me why I was experiencing, like I was anemic and I didn't, I wasn't menstruating heavily. Like I really just couldn't understand. And, so as a result, with the whole like knowledge about inflammation, once I did my homework, I started realizing the amount of processed foods I was eating. And I just realized that inflammation was probably big time at work on my body.
Yes.
My small intestine, I was probably sensitive, and I actually wound up proving this with blood work, but it turned out I was sensitive to gluten, to wheat, to a bunch of other things. And so, and then I kind of started connecting the dots, knowing that B12, which is exactly what I was short of, which is why I was anemic, knowing that that was absorbed in your small intestine, and also knowing that when you have food sensitivities, it causes inflammation in your small intestine. I started kind of connecting the dots. And as much as it pained me, one day I just was so tired of not feeling in control of my life, of my food intake, and I just let go of sugar and wheat. Fantastic. And it took me, a few tries. I would do it, and then I would like cheat, and I would think it was all over. And I started realizing that, you know what, even if I cheat here and there, it's not a big deal. It's what I'm doing 90% of the time that can really make a difference. And long and the short of it is, it made a huge difference. Now, this is only a year and a half later, but my blood work came back normal. And you have to understand that I was anemic for over 20 years.
Wow.
20 years. And all of a sudden I had normal blood work. I was like, wait, that's so weird. Could that be from giving up sugar and wheat and, which eliminates most of the processed foods out there? And so it was just my energy, the weight came off. It was just amazing how good and confident, and it wasn't just confident because it wasn't just about vanity. It was about really feeling like I had a method. to help myself, to heal myself, so I totally get what you're saying. I mean, inflammation, oxidative stress, so my question for you is, because oxidative stress is a natural byproduct of just living.
Right.
How does our body normally deal with oxidative stress?
Oh, that's such a good question. It's beautifully equipped to deal with it. It really is. Our body has hundreds of downstream results of several pathways. The most active pathway when we're young is called the NRF2 pathway, and it's spelled almost like the Nerf football without a vowel. And it's just a bunch of long words. I won't even try to say them, but it's a protein messenger. When we're young, that protein messenger is really basically ticking along. It is a stress thermostat. It's a stress sensor, and when it senses illness, toxins, sugar, gluten, whatever the offending agent is, it will basically run into the cell's nucleus and tell it make good guys. Okay, and these good guys are things you may or may not have heard of, and it doesn't matter if you've heard of them or not. But glutathione, the most important antioxidant you've never heard of. That's what Dr. Oz calls it. Excuse me. SOD, which is an enzyme that neutralizes millions of free radicals a second versus 1-to-1, a second, every second. And it's replaced 12 days later with another one. Catalase, if you have more catalase in your, they've done studies in mammals where they've had more catalase, they live longer, 50% longer. Housekeeping proteins, heat shock proteins, and the list goes on. And so this whole pathway, flipping the switch on, your body can really do great things and keep itself kind of at a steady state and heal and recover. But now physicians know this, and healthcare workers, some may know this, but you may not know this, and the audience may not know this, but if a person has a chronic illness, they're going to be depleted in glutathione. 100%. They're just depleted in this because their body has used it all to try to recover and repair and recuperate. So the unfortunate truth is that as we get older, now whether it's through just constant exposure to these toxins, this toxic world, these assaults, or whether it's just just age in itself, this pathway, this activity of this protein becomes kind of turned down like a rheostat. You think of the dial just being turned down, and so you don't produce these good guys, and so the trash builds up basically.
Yeah.
And so if you can flip that switch naturally, now there's several natural things that will do it a little bit. So it's, again, think of it like a rheostat. So exercise, not too much, just the right amount.
Right. And that's a really good point, because sometimes people can kind of get in the mode that if it's a good thing, let's just go wild with it, and I should be running marathons.
Right.
And that can actually produce stress.
Well, think about how many ultra elite marathoners have you seen that look like they just finished chemo,
So true. That's so true. So true.
Oxidation. That I used to have a coach, and he called me the oxidizer, because I would finish one exercise class and go run 10 miles or whatever. But so
no wonder you were feeling like crap.
Well, yeah, I actually already stopped that because I was feeling like crap. But so there's just the body has this innate healing pathway. Obviously, getting rid of the toxins and eating right will help to turn it on to some degree. But I'll give you an example. So I talked about exercise, the right amount being a turner-oner of the rheostat, turns it on a little bit. Broccoli, for example, that's a natural Nerf2 activator, and there's a compound in broccoli, and it's called sulforaphane. And that compound is the natural Nerf2 activator that's studied in a lot of the PubMed articles that we were talking about. It's kind of the gold standard for a natural Nerf2 activator. You would have to eat 7 pounds of broccoli sprouts to do what this one little golden pill my doctor told me about does, which is kind of cool because it is food. It's a salad and a pill, but it's just simpler than, the bloat that you would have to deal with to eat 7 pounds of broccoli sprouts every day, not to mention the food bill.
That would be a little rough.
So to me, I love the solution because it's adaptable to any lifestyle. Obviously, it works way better if you're already doing all the right things. But compliance is an issue. So there are people that you love and you want to help, even though they refuse to stop eating the crap and, stop doing all the bad things. So it's just a nice adjunct to a healthy lifestyle, wherever you're at in the healthy lifestyle spectrum.
Yeah, because you know what? If you're eating like crap, if you're exercising enough where you're producing a ton of cortisol, if you are, or not exercising at all,
right?
You can't, I think that lifestyle is super duper important, but this is a really interesting product, it sounds like. So what benefits have you personally seen?
Well, I didn't expect to feel a thing, because I knew innately that you don't feel oxidative stress, just like you don't feel your cholesterol number or your sodium level. You just, unless it's really, really causing downstream problems, then you feel the results of those. But so I didn't expect to feel anything. And just like I wasn't feeling anything taking 6 months of handfuls of pills, right?
Right.
But I just knew I was going to take that for the rest of my life, because I knew what it did was a really good thing. And I knew it was proven. And I saw the peer-reviewed study, and, I'll get into the p-value of that later if it comes up. But I did notice after several weeks, and it wasn't all at once, because it's not a drug, it's not cocaine, so to say. After several weeks, I noticed that I was dreaming, and I hadn't dreamt in years. I just hadn't dreamt. So I noticed that I was dreaming. The pre-story is my husband would have to come into the bedroom with a cup of coffee, set it on the nightstand, and the aroma of the coffee would help me get out of bed. That's the point where he said to go to see this doctor. But several weeks into taking this herbal product, I was waking up at 5:30 in the morning, just completely done with the bed, just done, up, ready to work out. I actually joined a gym around the corner from my house, even though I owned a gym several miles from my house, because I wanted to get my workout over with and back and get the kids to school. So that was huge. Calmness, clarity, lack of brain fog, better mood, better energy, better recovery. It was just kind of as the weeks went on, I would add another thing that was better. It was like crazy. Like, I can wear earrings now. I don't get itchy ears.
Interesting.
But it's inflammation.
I wonder what that even has to do with that.
Inflammation, it's allergy, it's contact, it's inflammation. Right. So oxidative stress affects, it's almost one of the struggles I have with explaining this to people is it affects so many things, and we don't make any medical, I'm a physician, but I'm not making a medical claim about this, because this is a salad and a pill, it's a food. So it doesn't treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease, but it has been clinically proven to reduce oxidative stress, and the FDA allows the statement because they have a peer-reviewed published study that proves it. It reduces oxidative stress. That is the upstream cause of hundreds of downstream effects.
Yeah.
That are unpleasant and that come with age. Basically, think of everything that happens after you turn 20, Right.
There's just no question. I know, like, I turned around one day and I was like middle-aged, and, you still feel like you're 25 up here. But the truth is, you see these little things in your body. I woke up, I had like a wrinkly neck. Where did that come from? I have no idea.
Right.
And if I could solve that with a little pill, I'd be all over it, for sure.
Absolutely. It really kills me, because I wish I had found this when I was 20. Because, if you could slow when you think of reducing oxidative stress by 40% on average in 30 days, that's the claim that's allowed by the company. The study actually said it reduced it by up to 70% in 90 days. But just think, if you can reduce oxidative stress by almost half, what is the underlying cause of aging, oxidative stress? We're slowing the aging process by half. I'm so sad, mad, that I didn't find it when I was 20 or 30. I found it when I was 45. I'm like, yeah. Slowed down aging a decade ago,
Yeah, that's really cool. And, just kind of getting back to, lifestyle, and, I think this is a great adjunct to a healthy lifestyle. And I see you're drinking like a green shake there.
Yes. If we'd only started eating and drinking like we are in our 40s and 50s, I'm 50, but exactly. We can't go back and learn what we know. They always say, if I knew then what I know now.
Exactly. You can't look back. It is what it is. But I agree with you. If I could go back, I would definitely do some things differently. And one of those things is to simply get off the processed food. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was trying to lose weight, I would buy like a Smart Ones or like a Weight Watcher type, Lean Cuisine, you know, whatever, like a frozen pizza. And I'd be eating that every day for lunch. And then I thought I was being really smart, and I would steam some broccoli with it, which was delicious.
Right.
It's funny because within an hour, I was hungry again. I couldn't lose the weight. I still felt like crap. And in my mind, I'm like, well, wait a second. I'm on plan.
Sorry for the train.
Oh, that's okay. I heard that. I'm eating something healthy. Like, what the heck is going on? And, it's interesting because we hear a lot about like paleo diets, and I know that's really just all the rage right now. And I'm definitely a whole food eater, and Shake the Sugar is whole foods.
That's awesome.
But I will say that following a paleo diet alone, just like following a great lifestyle alone, is not your only answer. I love the idea where, you're looking at a variety of things. You can't exercise it away. You can't eat it away. You really have to start thinking about yourself as a whole person.
Right.
And, it's interesting. I was in a meeting with a client, and she was bringing something up to me and sort of pointing out the importance of mental health for your overall health. And it's true, because you really have to think about yourself as a whole person, and we're aging physically, we're aging emotionally, and, certainly emotionally, we have a lot of other stress and stuff like that to deal with in our lives, caring for parents, dealing with adult kids or young adults. And then, of course, the idea that you really have to think about your lifestyle and what are you feeding your body? How are you choosing to exercise? What are you putting into your body? So I think it's all very, very interesting. I never really thought about, oxidative stress and how that can really be affecting us day to day.
Yeah, I hadn't either. That's what blew my mind, even though my coach called me the oxidizer, but I think it is so smart to be, to have this multi-layered approach, like you were saying, not only the diet, the mental health, meditation or yoga or whatever. And
yes. Dealing with your stress, dealing with your mental health, dealing with, I don't know about you, but I feel like as I've gotten older, I'm busier than I ever was than when my kids were little.
Right.
So I'm running around all the time because I have a lot more opportunity and a lot more responsibility, and, just dealing with my calendar.
Yes.
And exercise and,
And we're also distracted. And that's another thing we're being attacked. The reason we're being distracted is because we're surrounded by all this electronic,
Yes.
And that EMF.
I think that alone causes oxidative stress.
Oh, it does. That's proven for sure.
Yeah.
So, there's just so many things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. And it's so worth it. We have to consider food as fuel. Don't just take a supplement because it's on the shelf and it says a vitamin. That's actually not good for you to take. There's dozens of studies now that say, taking vitamins in high fractionated synthetic form, high dose, is bad for you. Not only because the vitamins themselves are bad for you, but then they're cumulative. If you drink a protein shake, it probably has added vitamins. If you drink
probably getting a lot more than you need.
Way more.
I'll tell you what I take, and you tell me if you think it's too much. Magnesium.
Good, you need that.
Okay. Fish oil.
Okay, and I'll tell you, there's a little bit of I have been taking fish oil, but one of the studies on this product is that it shows that it extends life in can you get that?
No worries.
And I'm going to let you get back to your thing, but it's just an interesting study. The National Institutes of Health has several institutes within it, one of which is the National Institute on Aging, and they've been doing studies over the past almost 2 decades trying to find a healthy, safe solution to extend health span and lifespan in mammals. Okay, and they've looked at things that had promise in worms and flies, and they didn't pan out in humans. And they found 5 drugs, and they've looked at many supplements, and fish oil was one of them. And fish oil actually shortened lifespan.
Ooh.
Because think about it, oils go rancid, oils oxidize. So you're putting in something that is causing free radical damage. So, and I know there's a lot of research that says it's good. So I'm just kind of like, so I'm thinking potentially getting your omega-3s from a vegan source that, maybe.
What about just wild fish?
As long as they're not exposed to, toxic, Pacific radiation and whatnot. But still, I totally agree. Seeds, like black cumin seeds, black sesame seeds, black raspberry seeds, those are all great sources of omega-3s. So I'm starting the transition. I still have some fish oil on my counter, and sometimes I take it. But I just know after reading that study, I'm like, I can't really. But that was always in my thing: magnesium, fish oil, D3, K2. But I would love.
Okay, so I'll tell you what else I'm taking. Vitamin C, because I was told I was having a hard time sleeping, and I already take magnesium. So a chiropractor said to me, take the vitamin C with the magnesium, and it'll help you sleep.
It helps it
absorb. I think it does. I don't know.
I think it might help it absorb because they're both.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't take it, but that's fine.
And I think that's it. Wait, let me think.
D3, K2.
No.
I do that sublingually because you get vascular absorption that way. It's not meant to be absorbed through the digestive tract because it damages the hormone. D3 is actually a hormone called, so the hormonal component gets disrupted when it's being broken down by the digestive system. So taking it sublingually is hugely beneficial versus, a D.
Now this product, Protandem, is that what it's called? Okay. So Protandem, what does it have in it exactly that helps?
The great thing about it is just 5 herbs that have been used in human health for centuries. Okay, and you've heard of 3 of them, I'm sure. Turmeric, which is curry, curcumin, but it's turmeric. Ashwagandha. Well, excuse me. Starting with the ones you've heard of: turmeric, green tea, milk thistle. Milk thistle is first of all, green tea is an antioxidant and kind of a thermogenic. Turmeric is an incredible anti-inflammatory. Milk thistle is a liver detoxifier. Okay. Then the 2 that I had not heard of prior to hearing about this are ashwagandha or ashwagandha.
Believe it or not, I have heard of that.
Great. Well, you're way ahead of the curve. It's an Indian Ayurvedic herb. It's an adaptogen. It has been shown to prevent Alzheimer's in India, where they have a lot of ashwagandha and turmeric. There is no colon cancer practically until people move to the United States. But I think that's processed foods. That too, for sure. Bacopa is a Chinese flowering plant that increases memory and increases SOD. And the scientist that was working on this formulation chose these plants because of their medicinal history. We can't use the word medicine, but they've been historically used for human health. And he looked at them in terms of whether or not and how much they induce these good guys that we've been talking about. And each by themselves did a little bit, okay? But because each activated this NRF2 pathway in a different way, there's lots of different ways to activate it. You can unbind it from the protein that keeps it in the cytoplasm. You can speed its transport through the nucleus, and on and on. But each did it in a different way. And so when they were combined in this exact recipe, which is why the product actually has 12 patents, 7 US and the others international, it has an 18-fold synergy, an 1,800% increase in good guy production. So that is what makes it so unique. It's salad in a pill. It's 5 herbs, but they just happen to combine to produce a new animal, basically. Wow. Thing.
That's cool. Now let's, will you put a link in the comments so people can learn more about?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
I have a newsletter that I send out, so I can put the link to the newsletter, a link to my website, and certainly invite everybody to join my Facebook page. There's two, the Vitality MD, where I post just kind of general medical health articles and news, and then the other is Beat the Burnout. It's a group that specifically goes into how, you know, this product helps the body, and different scientists speaking to what it's done, and it's pretty cool. There's a lot of different media in there that somebody can really dig around and look at it. And of course, I can post the website where anybody can order it. It's $40 a month, you know, wholesale.
And I'm going to post a link if people want to learn more about Shake the Sugar, about the lifestyle aspect of reducing inflammation and improving our health. And I'm so glad that you joined me today. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad you had this idea. We are a dynamic duo. We got the lifestyle and the extra, you know.
Absolutely. I love the medical perspective too. That's great.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to working with you in the future.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. And we will see you in the next video, I suppose, right?
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.